Hi everyone, I'm Jerry Marcello and welcome to the City Center podcast from West Palm Beach. In September and October, we celebrate National Hispanic Heritage Month, a time when we look back at the rich culture and history that forms our Hispanic communities. West Palm Beach is a very diverse community of its own, and the city works hard to recognize its leaders and help guide it to even greater prosperity. We'll talk about it today on the City Center podcast from West Palm Beach. Joining me today is Armando Fana, Assistant City Administrator and Hispanic Liaison for the city. Armando, welcome.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, let's get right to it.
Sure.
What exactly is an Hispanic liaison?
That's a good question. I have a day job, which is the Assistant City Administrator.
Right.
But as a Hispanic liaison, by the way, I want to mention it was an honor for me to be able to take that responsibility with the mayor appointing, and that shows really his commitment to the Hispanic population and trying to reach that population. Myself and Jose Luis Rodriguez are the two assistant city administrators within the city, and both of us happen to be Hispanics. And as far as I know, we are the highest ranking individuals to hold a position in the city of Hispanic origin. So it really does show the mayor's commitment to trying to provide not just diversity and inclusion within the city, but also trying to reach folks outside of City Hall and be able to provide services. So as a liaison, I get to interact with the Hispanic community, and that includes the citizens, that includes business owners, leaders within the community, and try to kind of interact with them and figure out what are the services that they need from the city, what are the things that are lacking potentially, how do we better communicate with the Hispanic population within the city. It is a growing population, 20%, actually a quarter, 25%
Wow.
of the city's population is now classified as Hispanic according to census data. So it's a significant portion of our population. It's one that always doesn't have the same civic engagement as some other populations have, and there's a lot of reasons for that. And my job as a liaison is to try to bridge that communications gap between the city and the Hispanic population.
Right.
And try to see what services they need, but also let them know what services are already available that they may not even know of. So that is a lot of what we do.
Now, you've been with the city for quite some time now.
It's been 10 years almost.
About 10
yes.
years. So, in your estimation, what has been the greatest amount of change as far as the needs and the desires for the Hispanic community and how we relate to it from the city's point of view?
Yeah, well, one of the biggest changes has been the growth. As I mentioned, it's about a quarter of the population right now, but over the past decade, that population has grown about 20%, which is actually the highest of any minority or ethnic group within the census data in the city of West Palm Beach. And not just West Palm Beach, because we talk about the city's population, but we also have to consider that Palm Beach County's growth has been similar, and a lot of the folks who visit the city are county residents as well, even folks who are coming from other parts of the world who are Hispanic as well that we have to communicate with. I know I've been on a couple times on our transportation options, but previously the trolley and now the circuit vehicles, and more than once I've been on those vehicles where there is somebody visiting from Colombia or some other country. So we've got visitors, we've got business owners, and we've got residents that we need to communicate with. So how you've seen that change over the past 10 years, besides the growth itself, is that impacts a lot of things, right? We have growth in our schools. The population demographics of our schools have changed. Forest Hill High School, which is where I graduated from, always had a fairly significant Hispanic population, but is now the majority of the school. So that changes the dynamics of how you interact with the students in that school. I just had the privilege of visiting Forest Hill High School for an event that commemorated September 11th. And the ROTC was participating in that, and children, or I should say young adults from the school, and nearly every one of them that I saw, and there was probably well over a couple hundred, were Hispanic origin. So it is a significant part of our population.
Yeah.
The businesses have changed. You see a lot of businesses now that are catering to that population. Mm-hmm. How we've tried to interact with the citizens has also begun to change, and we may talk a little bit about the services later. But just how the city itself, the composition of our population within the city staff has changed. Sure. As more Hispanics join the city as citizens, they also become members of city staff. And so we have more city staff that are of Hispanic origin, including, as I mentioned, in positions of leadership. So just the whole dynamic of the city, the culture, how we interact, has slowly changed over the past 10 years.
And it's really interesting. You make a good point in the fact that not only are we talking about our own residents, we're also talking about a great inflow of visitors, many from South America,
Absolutely.
who are coming here to visit our area and for perhaps the first time. How do we reach out in different channels? Do we do social media? How do we talk to folks?
You know, that's been one of the biggest challenges, not just to government, but even to businesses. You have, within the Hispanic population, we kind of group them all into Hispanic or Latino, but it's not a monolithic population. It is full of folks from different regions of the world, different ethnicities. Even the thing that kind of the common thread is the language, but even that kind of varies depending on which country they come from. There's variations in the language as well. If you look at West Palm Beach statistics, about 20% of the population, the Hispanic population, identify as being of Cuban origin. And you have around 10 or 11% that identify as Mexican, and the same percentage identifying as Puerto Rican. The rest, over 50%, kind of fall into the other category, other Hispanic or Latino, and that is a wide range of different countries that they come from and origins that their family may have come from. Just from my interactions with the community, I would say a good percentage of those are from Colombia, Guatemala, and Venezuela. But we also have populations, obviously, from other places, including Peru, Dominican Republic, and they all have their different languages or little bit of different culture.
Right.
And so communicating with the population does present a challenge, because you have to know how to reach those specific individuals that come from different countries of origin. As an example, there's certain populations within the Hispanic subgroup that are more receptive to radio, and they listen to a lot. To this day, a large percentage of radio audiences are now Hispanic. They've always been a big percentage, but as more folks are getting kind of off of radio, that population still exists that is fairly in tune, even to AM radio, which is going away.
Right.
So it's a really good way to reach the Hispanic population, but not all of them. The younger generation, the ones that were born here who may have Hispanic parents, probably are not listening to AM radio, so you have to reach them in a different way. Getting to where they are, being where they are, and engaging that community is also important, and we've tried to do that. We've had several events, community engagement events that we have at a specific location to try to garner information and feedback from residents about a particular initiative or a park or whatever it may be. And we've done some of those in areas that are predominantly Spanish language populations. We've done it in events that are catering to the Spanish language population, and we've done it in their language. We've actually had polls that we've taken that have been in Spanish to try to get the feedback from the Hispanic community. One example of that is we had a project down in the south end of the city at 8111 South Dixie, which was a city-owned property. It's now being redeveloped, and we did some polling and we did some outreach to the Hispanic population there, because it is a hugely significant portion of the population in our south end. And so that was fairly unique for the city. I think it was the first time we had done that.
So we've reached out and we're getting information and really getting to know this particular sector of our residents. You mentioned earlier that based on a lot of the feedback, we've been able to develop some programs. Let's talk a little bit about that. What are we doing as a city to reach out and answer the questions and the needs of that particular community?
Yeah. So one of the things, and you mentioned social media, we've done some outreach via Facebook to try to reach the community as well. But in terms of programming, one of the most important things we've done is through our library. We have the ESOL program, which helps people learn English. And so that is extremely important. We need to make sure folks are assimilated as they come to this country and be able to speak English and be able to obtain a job, understand the culture. And so that's been an important part. We've supported also organizations, nonprofit organizations that provide services to the Hispanic population. So like examples is Esperanza Center, who we've provided some financial support, and we recently leased out a city-owned property to them, and they are providing supportive services mostly to the Guatemalan and migrant community within the city of West Palm Beach, which is a significant population, and trying to help them become assimilated within our country, within the city, and access services to help them with that assimilation process. We've also been big supporters of the Latin quarters down the South End and tried to use them as a conduit to be able to let folks know the services the city has that they may be able to take advantage of. One quick example of that is the minority small business program that we have in the city. And so several small businesses that are Hispanic owned have been able to take advantage of loan programs that we had in the past. We've had grant programs as well for minority small businesses, and we've had several small businesses take advantage of that. Within City Hall and City Center, we have Salento Coffee Shop, which occupies a city-owned property, and they are a Hispanic minority business providing coffee and lunch and all kinds of services to our local community, and especially the folks here in City Hall who always need a cup of joe in the morning.
That's right. So you have folks who are probably going to be wanting to take advantage of some of the programs you just mentioned, or they have an issue that they'd like to address, or something they don't understand about a water bill or utility bill, right. or other types of outreach that they need to touch to reach out to the city. What's the best way for them to reach out?
So one of the great things, we have a fantastic new website, and I know you had a lot to do with that, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic job by our staff with that. And one of the things you could do on there is be able to switch languages, including into Spanish. So individuals who want to be able to access our website and be able to see what services are available can do that easily through the website. Right. Just on the right-hand corner, they can click the language and change it to Spanish. And I looked at it, and it's pretty accurate. You know, sometimes those things are a little bit of a hit and miss, but it's doing a pretty good job of that. And then we have WPB Key, which is our main platform for residents to be able to provide questions or give questions and try to get some resolution to issues that they may have with city services, whether it be a pothole or utility bill or whatever they're trying to get resolved. They can do that through WPB Key, which is available as an app or through the website. And they can also call our main number as well to try to get access to services. And one of the features that we just added to our main number is the ability to be able to have a Spanish language menu. So now when somebody calls, they're going to hear the prompt for the English menu, and then they'll be able to switch over to a Spanish language menu. And within each department that is mentioned within the menu, if the person clicks on to that department, they will be able to get a person who will be speaking to them in Spanish if they need that type of service. Right. That is the first time that I know of in the city's history where we've had that menu in Spanish. So there are various ways, whether it's through our website, through WPB Key, and now through our main telephone line, that folks can reach us in Spanish and be able to interact with us in their native language.
Outstanding. Great improvements. It's part of the reason why we're talking is that right now it's National Hispanic Heritage Month.
Yes.
During the months of September and October. Tell us about the impact of that here locally. What are we doing to celebrate and to observe the legacy and history of the Hispanic community?
Yeah, we've got a lot of programming, a lot of recognition as well. One of the things you'll see at the City Commission, next City Commission this coming Monday, will be recognition of individuals of Hispanic origin who are being recognized by each city commissioner and the mayor for their contributions within the city of West Palm Beach. There's a number of programs that have taken place and are taking place throughout Hispanic Heritage Month. Unfortunately, we had two clematis by nights that were both focused on Hispanic heritage with Spanish bands that have been rained out because of poor weather. So we're hoping to bring those back. But in addition to that, we have an ongoing programming that is sponsored by the Downtown Development Authority called Que Bacano. And Que Bacano, I think the loose translation for that, and it's a Colombian slang, means like, this is cool, this is interesting. So that's kind of a loose translation of what Que Bacano means. But this was a series that was started 2023 and 2024 this year during the peak season. And we're continuing it again beginning October 3rd which is the first Friday. So the first Friday of every month, K by Kino will kick off in front of City Hall, not in front of City Hall, in front of City Center, in front of the aforementioned coffee shop, Salento Coffee Shop.
Right.
And what this event does is we have salsa. It's basically a dance party. You have salsa lessons, and it's a family-friendly environment where you can bring the whole family, learn how to dance salsa, or if you already know how to dance, come and bring your dancing shoes. We've got dominoes tables set up. Of course, there's always going to be the food and the coffee and all the stuff that comes with the Hispanic culture when it comes to food and drinks. That's one of the things as a Hispanic we love the most. But it's a great environment. We've had upwards of 500 people come through on a Friday night. Sometimes folks are just walking through as part of their evening in downtown, and they see a dance party, and they're like, oh, let me go check that out. So it's a great event. I hope folks can come out, whether you're Hispanic or not, just come out and check out the vibes. It's a great opportunity. The other thing is we have our Screen on the Green event that takes place, I believe it's once a month that we have Screen on the Green. So during Hispanic Heritage, we have the movie Encanto, which is a Disney animated movie, highly successful one, that really is the basis for the whole film, is the Colombian culture. And there's a lot of sing-alongs and music that go along with it. I know the kids are...
They gotta love it.
They love it. They love the songs in that particular movie. I'm making sure I get the dates right on that. So the Screen on the Green event is actually taking place on October 11th.
Okay.
So October 11th is Screen on the Green. You bring the whole family, bring your blankets, your chairs, and watch the movie. Our library also has a number of programs ranging from music, and there's a music event that was a Puerto Rican style music that was done about a week ago. Unfortunately, we're kind of in the middle of Hispanic Heritage, but there's other things coming up, including story or reading times for both adults and for children that are focused on either Hispanic authors or Hispanic themes. And then there's a fiesta party on October 3rd for children from 2 to 3 p.m. at the library, where it's going to be just Hispanic music, food, culture, and it's geared to kids of all ages. Folks can come in. Free parking, by the way. I know a lot of folks kind of fret the downtown parking, but it's free parking for the library patrons.
That's great.
And even for folks who want to come into downtown for any of these events, on the weekends our parking is $5 in our garages all day long. So you can park your stuff in the morning, stay all night, and
See,
it's $5.
What I love about this, and what about the list of all the items that you've mentioned here, is it does true to the month. It celebrates the legacy and the history and the culture. It's a lot of stuff is geared towards young people learning about perhaps a culture that they're not really familiar with because they started here, and it's great to see that sort of involvement and that internal education taking place.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hispanic culture, Hispanic history is part of our history. You look at the oldest city in the United States, right? St. Augustine, right here in Florida. It was founded by the Spaniards. And it's a great place to visit for those who haven't, by the way. It's one of the most, I think, underrated places in the country in terms of just how interesting it is, the history of that. But just going back to almost the founding of our country, Hispanics have played a prominent role when it comes to our history, our culture. A lot of the words that we even speak in the English language are derived from Spanish. Certainly, we've integrated a lot of things into our own culture, whether it's Taco Tuesdays or food is a big element of that. Spanish language music has become huge in the Anglo market.
Yes.
So it's ingrained in our culture. It's celebrated. American history includes a lot of contributions from Hispanics, and it's just become so much I think it's become so ingrained in our culture now that we don't think of it as necessarily Hispanic culture. It's really just kind of like the American experience.
Now, this podcast is going to be available to people who live beyond our city limits.
Right.
What message do you have for people who would like to perhaps maybe become, a resident here in West Palm Beach? What would you say to Hispanic folks who would like to come to West Palm and maybe make this our home, their home?
it is a fantastic, whether you're Hispanic or not, it's a fantastic place to live and do business with. But if you're Hispanic, it's going to feel like home because you have 25% of the population that speaks the Spanish language. You have a lot of businesses that cater to that population. Everywhere you go, pretty much, you're going to run into folks who speak Spanish, who have parents who speak Spanish. You're going to feel like you're in a place that you're welcome. It's a diverse community. You'll be able to really enjoy everything that there is when it comes to the Hispanic culture, the food, the music, the nightlife, and just even in your schools, right? If your children happen to be coming and they are still kind of learning the English language, there are programs here that help them assimilate. We have our own programs, as I mentioned, in the library to help folks assimilate and learn English. It's just a great place to do business, a great place to visit. And you can always visit first before you make that plunge
That's right.
and see what I'm talking about.
Armando, thank you. One last moment here. Is there a final message you'd like to share with the folks listening to our podcast today?
Just that make sure that when you're a part of our community, you embrace the whole thing. Sometimes, folks, it's a little hard to get out of our comfort zone. Come to events like Que Bacano, whether you speak Spanish or not. Visit different types of restaurants and experience different cuisines, whether it's Peruvian ceviche or Mexican burrito, or whatever it may be, a Cuban sandwich. There's so many different things to try, to learn about our history and learn about the contributions that Hispanics have made. I think we kind of focus sometimes on certain figures, but it goes beyond that. As I mentioned, St. Augustine, so much of our
Right.
Florida history really kind of derives from that and that initial colony there. So there's a lot to learn, a lot to be proud of if you are Hispanic. And in the age that we're in, where I think there's a lot of negativity towards immigrant populations, and we certainly have issues with immigration, and we have to take care of those issues. But there's a lot of folks that come here and contribute to our society, contribute to who we are as a country and as a city, and we should embrace that and embrace the folks who are here really trying to become part of the American dream.
Armando, thank you for everything that you do for our city. Very well said.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to today's discussion. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe to see more of our content. The City Center podcast is produced by the City of West Palm Beach Communications Department. I'm Jerry Marcello. We'll see you next time.